Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. Recently we discussed the game Redout and the minor controversy surrounding a mistake made by an initial review by Digital Foundry covering the game's Xbox One version. In that review, Digital Foundry had initially made 3 claims, one of which was that the game was running in 1080p on the Xbox, matching the as-yet unmodified resolution on the PS4 version of the game. 34 Big Things received a surprising amount of abuse from the Digital Foundry viewers, and in response to this backlash, 34 Big Things director Valerio Di Donato posted a statement that initially threatened legal action against Digital Foundry for the mistake and the subsequent backlash that occurred. Now, let me first say that, as a critic, I understand better than most that mistakes do happen. It is regrettable, and it has the potential to be extremely damaging to developers, so I can understand 34 Big Things becoming upset as well. And it would seem that 34 Big Things also recognized fairly quickly that they might have blown up a little too much and altered their statement to state that they would do everything in their power, as opposed to directly stating a lawsuit. And to their credit, Digital Foundry admitted their mistake, updated the written article on Eurogamer, redacted their assertions of 1080p, and took down their own video with a promise of a redone video with that mistake corrected. Well, the other day, Digital Foundry did release their updated review on Redout, and I don't think it was quite what some people were expecting. And for anyone interested in watching Digital Foundry as opposed to me, I certainly would not object, and I'll do those people a favor and put a link to Digital Foundry's video down in the description. That said, Digital Foundry stuck to their guns on 2 of the 3 assertions. The first being that the visual settings within the Xbox One X version of the game was still slightly inferior to the PlayStation 4's version. The second assertion they made and reinforced was that the frame rates on the Xbox One X version of the game consistently dropped below 60 FPS, while they remained much more stable on the PS4. Frame rate within games like these is a very important factor, as having the game run smoothly is a requirement to be able to effectively navigate the courses. And then there was number 3, the big one that got 34 Big Things so extremely upset. Now, to their credit, 34 Big Things did institute a form of dynamic resolution within the game. However, it is far different than what is traditionally seen. Most times when you're dealing with dynamic scaling, the system throttles the graphics based on GPU load. Now, this is done in an attempt to keep the system just shy of maxing out, ensuring maximum graphics resolutions possible without sacrificing gameplay performance. However, what 34 Big Things had done was they had actually set up a bot pilot to run the courses. They then analyzed the GPU loads and frame rates of those recorded races and used those results to break up the track into segments. Now, each one of those segments then had a resolution statically assigned to it based on the detected GPU load of the tests. This offers the developers a great deal of manual control of the dynamic rendering, and I actually thought that, at least in theory, it was a pretty innovative and interesting method of handling performance issues on the console versions of the game. But that method of dynamic rendering was actually what led to Digital Foundry's misconception. This happened because their resolution sampling always came from the starting segments of each track, which is rendered in 1080p. So what Digital Foundry did was they ran through 3 of the tracks again, taking samples at set intervals along the way in 5-second increments. And what they came up with could very well cause 34 Big Things to have a little bit of egg on their face. Not a lot, but a touch. While Digital Foundry remained apologetic throughout their video, their test results turned up some interesting information. First, yes, it can be stated with absolute certainty that the game does employ dynamic resolutions exactly as the developer states. However, 34 Big Things' assertions of 4K resolution is only accurate some of the time. And that's the issue when dealing with dynamic resolutions. It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi methodology of resolutions. It allows developers to state that their game is 4K from a certain point of view. But instead of coloring it with my own opinions, let me state first what was found so you can draw your own inferences and conclusions without me coloring it, and then I'll tell you what I think after. The straight facts are that throughout the tests performed by Digital Foundry, they confirmed the following percentages. The dynamic scaling, when taken in segments, showed that the game does run at 1080p a total of 40% of the test captures. The game also ran at 1296p an additional 40%. For a further 10% of the captures, they showed both 1512p and 1478p, with a final 10% of the tests showing 90% of 4K at 1944p, and these percentages held true for all 3 maps tested, again in 5-second increments. It's possible that the resolutions may be skewed differently, but one would have to deal with a much larger sample set to be able to determine qualitatively. That said, in 5-second increments, I think that gives us a pretty good polling of each track. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells me that this game does scale above 1080p, which reinforces the fact that Digital Foundry did make a mistake, which I'm thankful they rectified. That said, the assertions of 4K by the developer leaves some room for interpretation. Regardless, while the frame rate is more stable on the PS4, the game does have a higher resolution on the Xbox One X. Well, at least 60% of the time. The game, however, remains fun, and it remains a good game. The fact of the matter is, the Xbox One X and the PS4 are still going to cause issues to some games ported over to their systems, as those games were originally optimized for different hardware and different operating systems. 34 Big Things continue to patch their game, and I hope that as they continue to streamline things, that they're able to increase the resolution for console owners even more. And again, I will leave a link to Digital Foundry's video down in the description below. But as always, please do let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as some people keep on requesting it, I will do my outro in an announcer voice yet again. So here goes. Let me just transition the video over to my temporary outro screen. I actually have some new stuff commissioned, but it hasn't shown up quite yet. Hopefully we'll get it soon. Okay, here it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching my latest video on the gaming industry. I hope the commentary provided therein was educational and at least mildly entertaining. If you did happen to enjoy the video, then by all means hit the like button as well as the subscribe button, and don't forget to share the video on social media like Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. Special thanks to the channel's Patreon supporters for helping to pick up the slack after the demonetization bots have had their way with these videos. If you are interested in helping to support the channel, you can do so by donating on Patreon or PayPal. 20 and Up Club Patreon members are immortalized in the description of each and every video for the duration of their continued support. So what are you waiting for? Those buttons are most definitely not going to click themselves. Thank you again for watching. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.